Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 772, May the 5th, 2019, Sunday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Alrighty, today is Sunday. I'm going to try to stay on schedule. Maybe the second week in a row I get it right for Dumbass of the Week. So put in your comments today in this video. I will check the comments section for today, Sunday's video, tomorrow for the Dumbass of the Week. And I'll announce that on Monday's video. So anyway, yes, get your comments in for Dumbass of the Week on this video, and we'll see how we do there, and hopefully I can stay consistent, because I know some people, it's like, what day are you actually doing that? Because I've done it on a Saturday, I've done it Sunday, Monday. It usually was decided by, you know, how busy of a news day it was, but I'm going to try to stay consistent to announce Sunday. The Sunday video is where you put your comments for Dumbass of the Week and announce them on Monday. That's what I'm going to try to stick with if we can do that. So anyway, there you go. Dumbass of the Week. Get your comments in on this video. Alrighty, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at some important things we have to talk about today. And let's go ahead and start with the interview a lot of people are talking about, which was when Devin Nunes was on with Sean Hannity. And so Devin Nunes has sent a letter, and he wants all documents from the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and the State Department. He wants all documents with all records of any communications or other information about what they know or have on Mifsud. That's right, Professor Joseph Mifsud. He wants to know, and he wants the documents from the FBI, CIA, NSA, and State Department. Whatever you got, records, documents, photos, whatever you got of Mifsud and your history with him, whether you have a dossier on Mifsud, Devin Nunes wants it. He's giving them 1 week to comply. And now we don't have Uncle Bob the Executioner to block it. We don't have Rodenstein playing guard for them. We've got William Barr. And I think he wants to get to the bottom of things, just my opinion. So that's what Devin Nunes wants, and hopefully AG Barr will make sure that all these departments comply. That means no shit Sherlock Christopher Wray needs to get off his ass, and he needs to produce some documents, because he's been very lame up to this point in the game. And the CIA director, of course, she was the U.S. representative for the Central Intelligence Agency in London during 2016 when all this was going on, Gina Haspel. I think we need to have a talk with Gina. What do you think about that? I know one thing. She better produce some damn documents, because I'm pretty sure Mifsud and the CIA have been tangoing together for quite some time. And of course we know he's connected to an organization that's affiliated with the U.S. State Department. In fact, that's why he was in town in February of 2017. He was giving a speech, participating in an event sponsored by the U.S. State Department. You know, where Hillary used to be the head of. Everything that you've got on Mifsud. And they should have something on Mifsud. Absolutely. And of course, the NSA. Yes, that's right. They should have it all. Every phone call, every email, every text. They got it all. I expect that they'll produce, and if they don't, then we'll know there's a rat. We'll know there's something very, very bad going on, and if AG Barr is the man I think he is, he will make sure that he doesn't get snuffed on this deal. He will say, come on now, I know some of you got something on Mifsud. Spit it out. Devin Nunes is one hell of a patriot. This guy gets death threats every day of his life. His family's been threatened. His wife's been threatened. This guy just keeps getting it done. Nunes also wants to know how many spies were run at the Trump campaign. So do I. Oh yes, I want to know how many spies were run into the Trump campaign. First we were told there were none. And then we were crazy conspiracy theorists for suggesting such. And now we have the New York Times admitting there were 2. Oh, there was a lot more than 2. Just off the top of my head, let's go down the list, shall we? Mifsud was a spy working, who was put into the Trump campaign. I'm 99% sure Mifsud. Of course, we know about Halper, definitely 100% Halper. No question about Halper anymore, the fat man. We know for sure. And his assistant, what was her name again? Who was his assistant again? I forget her name. I got it written down here somewhere. No, I don't. It's not in these notes. But I forget her name now. But so we have Mifsud, Halper, and his assistant. Then we have, of course, Downer. I'm pretty damn sure we're going to find out he too was working as an informant. And I don't know if it was for FBI or CIA or British intelligence or who. But I'm pretty damn sure that he was an FBI or CIA informant working for one of these groups into the Trump campaign. That's 4. Then, of course, we have his assistant, who we now know this Azra Turk. Turns out she was an FBI informant. That would be 5. Then, of course, Christopher Steele. He certainly was an FBI informant. They were paying him. The FBI was paying Christopher Steele as an informant. That makes 6. How about the guy that approached Caputo and Stone, Mr. Greenberg, a well-known FBI informant? In fact, he's got visas, special visas, that are only given to certain individuals when they are working as FBI informants. That's the only way they let him in the country, because that's his freaking criminal record. That makes, what, 7? Not to mention many others. We don't even... Oh, how about... I don't know if he was being paid. We have this other Mike Rogers, not Mike Rogers NSA, but a Mike Rogers who was a congressman who was head of the House Intelligence Committee before Nunes. Now, whether or not he was being paid, but he's the guy on the inside that everybody is used to talk about, don't talk about anymore. But he's most likely the guy who was on the inside. Whether or not he was being paid, I don't know. But he was acting as someone inside the Trump campaign, and he was certainly acting as an agent provocateur. So that's just a few of the people. Not to mention all these members of the media. Some of them were actually working, and I don't know if they were being paid or they were being rewarded in some way. A lot of times as a reporter or a journalist or a media organization, your reward is not money. Your reward is the story itself. The information itself is a reward. Those people could also qualify. I'm thinking that when we finally get the number, it's going to be somewhere around a dozen. Around a dozen active informants, not to mention all the support people behind them, helping them to carry out the plot. I'm already getting angry, and we're only, 10 minutes in the video. I'm already too damn mad to continue. Here's a question I'd like to know. Why did the former Italian Foreign Minister of Italy, Vincenzo Scotty, lie for nearly a year about where Joseph Mifsud was? It was about a year ago that he was asked, it was actually midsummer of last year, that he was asked by a reporter if he knew the whereabouts of Mr. Mifsud. And he said, no. Ain't heard from Joe recently. Huh? Don't know. Huh. But as it turns out, Mifsud was hiding in Rome, a couple blocks away from the spy school. He was in an apartment in Rome owned by an organization affiliated with Link University, of which Vincenzo Scotty, the Italian Prime Minister, is one of the principal owners. He's one of the principal owners of that property that Mifsud is staying in, and now he knows where he's at. And he's been there for quite some time, because Vincenzo Scotty told Mifsud, hey, your name, you've been outed. You could be in danger. We need to keep you safe and quiet. You need a name change. You need a new ID, some new papers, and you need to lay low, and you need to hide. We got a house that you can hide in. Hide there and keep your mouth shut. Now, Mr. Scotty seems to be okay to tell us where Mifsud has been. In other words, he lied a year ago. Why? I mean, if there was nothing going on, if Mifsud was, a Russian agent who just happens to work and teach as a professor at a Western spy school, he hangs out with a lot of Western intelligence people, including the woman who's actually the person who is a recruiter for MI6. Britain's top recruiter for the MI6 hangs out with Mifsud, a Russian spy. Bullshit. You see, you know why I'm so mad? Well, for many of you know, I have a timeline. I'm doing all these videos. I thought at the end of all this, I might someday be able to write a nice movie script. I might be able someday to write a book and detail all this. But now I can't write a book. I can't make a movie. Not with this. I can't sell this to anyone. No one would believe it. I thought, oh yeah, this is a nice twist in the story. Quite a few times I thought, well, this is a nice twist in the story, but there's too many twists. Too many twists. And now, my spy novel is a joke. Maybe I can sell it to National Lampoon. How about that? It's a comedy now. It's like freaking Naked Gun. Naked Spy. There you go. I'll do Naked Spy. Naked Spy. Maybe I'll get Mr. Winehouse to play the role of, what's his name? Leslie Nielsen. We'll get him a whoopee cushion. He'll be set. What a bummer. Kamala Harris. I don't like her very much. Kamala Harris has now asked the DOJ Inspector General, that would be Huckleberry Horowitz, by the way, to investigate whether the White House asked the Justice Department, AG, that would be, of course, AG Barr, to open investigations into the coup plotters. Oh, there's so many things wrong. There's so many things wrong with this. Okay, let's just start. We have to actually go through this to break it all down here. First of all, the investigations into FISA abuse and the spies in the campaign, all of that was tasked to Huckleberry Horowitz when Rodenstein was the acting AG. Their boy. I mean, AG Barr just got here. Huckleberry's been working on these investigations for almost a year, it seems like. And he worked on an investigation before that because of Rodenstein. And before him, Sessions. And she's talking about, I guess, these investigations that Barr is now looking into. He's the Attorney General. And Horowitz is in the process right now of finishing up putting the final draft together on his report, which we're already getting leaks about, which apparently are going to tell us some really bad things went on, and that there's going to be criminal referrals. In fact, this most recent information we just got came from Horowitz about Azra Turk. That was a leak from someone in the FBI to help the New York Times spin and get ahead of the story on behalf of the perps. Horowitz is going to look at this and go, are you kidding me? She wants to know why I'm investigating, and is it because Barr asked me to? I've been investigating this for over a year, and I had another investigation before that. And now he's giving me some more stuff to look at. And quite honestly, he's the Attorney General. He can request any damn thing he wants. So can the President. The President can say, call the Attorney General and say, I want you to look into that. And the Attorney General can call in the Inspector General and say, I want you to look into that. That's how it works. Elections have consequences. Kamala. You moron. Oh my God, and she's running for president. That should scare the hell out of you. You know, there's a very good, I don't know if it was an article or a video I saw. Oh, it was a video. It was a video of Declassified. A declassified video where they actually bring up something that I talked about not more than a month ago, which is that when we get to the bottom of all this, there's another really, really gigantic, big-ass issue, which in itself would be a monster bombshell issue, but it's small compared to Spygate, so it's sitting out there on the sidelines, and probably when we get to the bottom of all this, maybe a year or two from now, it is finally going to show itself and reveal itself. And what I'm talking about is this issue I talked about a month ago when I first discovered this, which is that media organizations and reporters do have a First Amendment right as reporters, but they do not have the right to participate in coups. And here's something else they don't have the right of. They don't have the right to act as foreign agents of another government. And what that means is that they cannot accept money from foreign governments. Unless, of course, they are registered foreign agents. But every media organization out there, all the big ones, including Fox, take money from foreign governments, but none of them are registered as foreign agents. And that would include the New York Times, the Washington Post, and all the rest, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the whole 9 yards. All of these people accept money, and we know from Horowitz that they also accept gifts. And we also know that Confusion GPS paid reporters. And where did they get their information? What was the source of their information? Ukraine, London, Italy, Australia. These media organizations are in violation of the FARA Act, which is what they threatened Papadopoulos with. It's what they were on Carter Page for, and Manafort, and Greg Craig. Every one of these media organizations is guilty of violating the FARA Act, which says if you accept money from a foreign government to act on their behalf, you must register as a foreign agent. And there is not an exclusion for reporters or media organizations. This is a big, fat, stinking turd sitting right in the corner of the room. And the only reason it's not being talked about is because there's a much larger, big, fat, stinking turd that we're dealing with. But as soon as the big, big turd is gone and cleaned up, we'll be looking at the other turd. The FARA violations by media corporations. It's coming. By the way, every now and then I think it's good to reflect back and have a good laugh. And speaking of smoking turds, smoking stinking turds, I was reminded of the Rotten Reverend Clinton. In that particular segment of the debate where the scumbags who were doing the debate from, I think, PBS, asked Trump about the Billy Bush tape and the fact that he said grab him by the pussy or whatever, and they were trying to take him to task over that. And of course he retorted by saying, yeah, that was just words. They were just locker room talk. There were words. It wasn't meant to be heard by the American public, just what guys say sometimes when they get together, and girls. Now, at that point, when it came back to Hillary, she tried to spin her way out of it, didn't do a very good job, but just at a particular point, right after she started speaking, a fly lands on her head. And everybody saw it. It was quite funny because they had a big close-up and this fly lands right on Hillary's head while she's bullshitting. And so, just as a sort of a flashback, you guys might want to go back and watch that. So I am going to provide a link to that short video for you. I'll put it right in the description box. You can just click on the link and go to the YouTube video. And if you go to the skip right to 2 minutes and 41 seconds, you will be at the very moment when the fly lands on the Rotten Reverend Clinton and then flies away. Because he realizes, even though that it's... Well, no, I won't even say that. You can figure that one out. Okay, so anyway, I am going to post a link to that video so you can watch it again, just for a good laugh, just for a little flashback. And at some point, it's going to become relevant again, trust me. So I'll provide the link in the description box. You can watch that again. It's classic. It's worth watching again. Just like the Young Turks meltdown on election night. I probably watch that. I watch it every month or so just for entertainment. Now, here you go. Here you go. Uh-oh. Ed Butowsky. Remember him? Remember Ed Butowsky? Let me refresh your memory. A judge has ruled that Ed Butowsky's case can go forward. A judge has ruled that Butowsky's case for defamation will go forward against NPR, National Public Radio. NPR did a hit piece on Butowsky after he funded an investigation into the murder of Seth Rich. Butowsky, of course, got that information from 2 different sources, maybe 3 different sources of people who know Julian Assange personally. And they contacted Butowsky. And they said, Seth Rich is the guy who gave the emails to WikiLeaks. But Julian cannot come out and say that. He has to protect his sources. But just between me and you, it was Seth Rich. So Butowsky contacted Seth Rich's family. And they agreed, yes, we don't have the resources, financial, but Butowsky does. He's fairly wealthy. And he said, I will personally fund the investigation. And that's when he hired this Rob Wheeler. And then the whole thing got turned into a shitstorm. Fox got on Sean Hannity for covering it, forced him to shut up about it. Wheeler eventually was forced to get out of the mix. And Butowsky was slandered by these stories that came out, especially the one by PBS. And so he filed a defamation lawsuit against them. And that's been going through the courts. I've read the judge's transcript, and believe me, he gave PBS a good tongue lashing, or NPR. Same thing. Gave NPR a good tongue lashing. And at the end of the tongue lashing, for slandering Mr. Butowsky, he said the case is moving forward. So, I expect more details to come. And I remember in the comments section on a video several months back when the lovely and talented Mara said, you know, this all kind of began with this Russian narrative. It all kind of began here in the States. Obviously, it was bubbling away in the Ukraine prior to that, going all the way back to 2014, 2015. But as far as the DNC having to cook up the Trump-Russia thing and the Russia thing, that started really because of Seth Rich. And Mara was suggesting that if we go full circle, we might end up right back at Seth Rich. Mara may be onto something. We'll keep following the story. Anna Navarro. Many of you are familiar with her. She's dumber than a football bat. Most of you are aware of that. You've watched her on MSNBC or CNN. I can't remember which one. They both suck. Both of them have very bad ratings and are getting worse all the time. She claims to be a Republican. But now she's saying, and she just said, and this might qualify, get her some points for Dumbass of the Week, she wants all conservative voices shut down and silenced. All conservative voices shut down and silenced. Now, this is new in America, that anyone would go on any major media operation on TV or in print and say something like that. I mean, even back in the old days, in the 60s and 70s, you would always hear liberals and conservatives say, hey, I hate what you're saying, but I'll defend your right to say it to my death. That's how we used to be in this country in the media about protecting speech. Now look where we are. And here we have Navarro, and not a single one of her damn colleagues called her out. They're all sitting there like smirking chimps. They're like the clapping seals, cheering her on. They all want to get rid of all conservative voices. What these morons are not smart enough to realize is that, yeah, you get rid of the conservative voices first, and then the liberal voices are next. Eventually, there's no free speech. Why do we have a Second Amendment? To protect the first. Jerry Nadler. Jerry Nadler's son works for the firm who's suing Trump. Gibson, Dunn, and Carter. Could have been Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. But, yes, it looks like there's a conflict of interest here. Don't you think? I think so. And that's all that counts. What I think. In this particular case, it's my video. So, Jerry Nadler's son should probably... In fact, Jerry Nadler... You know what we need for Jerry Nadler? I think that we need to look into the type of things that they do for misdemeanors and things in Singapore. They publicly cane you. I want to see Jerry Nadler drug up on a podium, pull down his damn boxers, and spank his ass with a large, sort of wet noodle looking thing. Spank the hell out of him. Right along with some of his friends. They very much deserve it. Maybe that will shut him up. No, he's too stupid. Sorry, probably wouldn't work. Alrighty, so I have just a few minutes left to talk about that New York Times story and why it's important. It's important for a couple reasons, but it's also disinformation at the same time. So it's kind of weird. So just a kind of a simple explanation. 2 weeks ago, we get the story from the New York Times, which is a bombshell, so we're told, that the first story was that they gave us 2 weeks ago was that, they're thinking now that the dossier was actually Russian disinformation. Okay, so now, in the first minute or two, you can kind of go, okay, well, wow, that's really a twist. That's kind of crazy. But then as you think about it, and think about what all would have to take place for that to be true, you have to go, probably can't happen. Probably couldn't happen. Too many things. I don't have time to go through them now, but I went through them in my mind, and I'm going, well, if this was a disinformation campaign by the Russians, then that means they had to dupe Christopher Steele's intermediaries, Christopher Steele's expert handlers, Mr. Baumgartner, Nellie Orr, Confusion GPS, the entire FBI, the entire State Department, British intelligence, everyone you can think of. Everyone had to be duped. The Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, the DOJ NSD Division. They had to fool every one of them. Everyone. FBI, Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, Priestep, Lynch, McCabe, Yates. They all had to be completely duped. I don't think so. It's sad when the only hope you think you have is to try to advance a new narrative which says that you were just totally fucking incompetent. That's all. You weren't evil. You weren't crooked. You weren't trying to do anything illegal. You were just dupes. Everyone was a dupe. Not one person sniffed it out. Boy, them Russians are good, aren't they? Bullshit. It's disinformation. Then we get the next story, a week later. The FBI admits they did have spies in the Trump campaign. Oh, the New York Times is turned. Now, it's still important, because what it tells us is that they've been forced to turn and change the narrative, because they know it's coming out. And they can't be seen as having gotten it 180 degrees wrong. The entire media, everybody got it wrong once again. ABC, NBC, CBS, NPR, PBS, just about everyone, and to some extent even a couple people at Fox, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Guardian, the Daily Mail, all these people, the Golden Beast or whoever they are, everybody got it wrong. There really were spies in the Trump campaign. And we missed it. We thought that the conspirators were we thought the guys who were the good guys, and we said were the good guys, turned out to be the conspirators. And the guys who we said were the conspirators turned out to be the good guys. How could we get it so effing wrong? 180 degrees opposite of the truth. And we all missed it. Every reporter in D.C. and New York. Every media organization. Everyone at the DOJ. Everyone at the DOJ NSD. Everyone at the FBI, the CIA, the NSA. Impossible. These people must think I'm some kind of a fucking idiot. I told you I was angry. I'm getting angry all the time. Profanity alert. I hate having my intelligence insulted. And all of yours as well. I have the most intelligent, most informed, subscribers on YouTube. In my opinion, I read the comments section of other YouTubers. There's some good folks there. Some of you are, I see some of your comments on other YouTube videos. That's how I know my subscribers are the smartest, because they're usually telling people in the comment section, hey, this, that, and the other thing. Something that they learned from my video or that they learned from somewhere else. So, yes, there's a lot of problems, but it's bad when you know that it's important, because they had to change the narrative. They were forced to change the narrative. They didn't want to run that story, believe me, that the FBI, that everybody was duped. It was actually a Russian, intelligence thing, and they actually gave bad information to be put in a dossier, and they played all these people. No. It was a disinformation campaign. No. It just, I could do an hour on all the reasons why. This is crazy. And then, of course, they do the story. Yes, the FBI admits that there's spies in the campaign. But what happens, the first time I read the story, I thought, But then I read it slow, the second time. And what you find out, the bottom line, when you get to this, after reading that bold headline, and you think, but after you read through that story, what is the main theme that they want you to get out of it? The main theme is still that the investigation began on July 31st, 2016. In other words, they're trying to protect when the investigation started, because that's where they're on the hook. That's where Barr is going to find the crimes. That's where Nunes is going to find the crimes. It's the fact that they say this all began on July 31st of 2016, when we know for a fact it began much, much sooner. Much sooner. So that story is actually not meant to do what it tells you it's going to do. Oh, the FBI actually did have spies in the campaign. Whoa, no shit! We've known that the FBI had spies in the campaign since they outed Halper. Papadopoulos outed Halper. He just told us that 2 weeks ago. He told Chuck Ross in a restaurant. Outed Halper. And they had to admit. Well, pretty much didn't have to admit, but at this point, we know that there were spies in the damn campaign. We've known that for a long time. So that New York Times headline wasn't anything great. Maybe to the liberals, the people who've been denying it for the longest time, now finally have to say, well, the New York Times is now saying there were spies in the campaign. 2. No, try about 22. And it's not important. They never talk about in the story about why the spies were in the Trump campaign. Why we got a counterintelligence operation. Regardless of when it started. There was no probable cause. No reasonable suspicion to ever get the FISA on Carter Page at all. Or to launch spies, to throw spies into Papadopoulos. It's a disinformation campaign, and it's a bunch of bullshit. Want confirmation? The author of the article, Adam Goldman. Andy McCabe hand-picked Mr. Goldman as the person to interview him about Operation Crossfire Hurricane. Mr. Goldman has written spin articles for the FBI in the past. Mr. Goldman wrote an article after Trump fired Comey saying that Trump was a national security risk. Mr. Goldman wrote an article questioning whether Trump was secretly working for Russians. He wrote that article on January 11, 2019, after Trump had been investigated for nearly 3 years. Goldman has portrayed Trump as nuts. It's very suspicious. This article tries to reinforce that the investigation started on July 31st, 2016, and he left out all the contacts before that date. It's a disinformation article by a disinformation artist, probably being paid. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with more TowerGate. Because have a good night. See you. Bye.